Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome. Welcome to today's discussion about art. My name is Miguel, and today we're going to talk about an aspect of art that is present in a quotation. I'm just going to pull a quotation off the internet about the subject of art, and we'll see where it takes us. So, first of all, today is the 12th of November, 2023, excuse me, and we're getting really close to Thanksgiving, and that's exciting. I've been interested in gratitude lately, and certainly I can say that one thing I'm very grateful for is art. I'm grateful that art is in my life, and it's wonderful to see art all around me in so many places, and I love how it adds to my life. I'll tell you, some of the ways that art adds to my life is that it adds meaning, and meaning can actually be quite emotional. It adds, an emotional piece to life that not every subject necessarily brings. Subject of learning, that is. There are art can be very evocative. In fact, poetry is a great example of an evocative art. When I read poetry, and it uses many literary techniques like allusion and alliteration and metaphor and simile. When it does this around subjects or values that I hold and that I find very meaningful, there's an emotional response, certainly. And it captures my attention. And that is true. It's beyond poetry. Music is another good example of how art can sort of pluck at the heartstrings of people. Music, art. Another form of art is poetry, and literature. Certainly, literature can can be very evocative. Photography can be quite evocative as well. And in fact, that's one thing that I think is quite unique about art in particular, is that in a way its purpose is to be evocative. Its purpose is to convey meaning, certainly, from the artist to the audience, but in a special way, in a way that is aesthetic, also in a way that is evocative. And I think that this is just a powerful aspect of art that I'm appreciating day after day. In fact, I've been playing with ChatGTP lately, and part of my play is asking ChatGTP to write a poem about whatever subject we happen to be chatting about or talking about or conversing. And it could be seeing things as mundane as apples or facts about the world or microbiology. And the poetry that is created by ChatGTP is, I really admire it in its clarity, in its true and accurate conceptions of the world. Quite often, it really is a master poet. And what's great is the poetry that ChatGPT writes is poetry that I want to read. Almost every time, it's poetry that I want to read, and it conveys those poems in ways that I want to read them. And it's kind of funny. It's not always the subjects that are interesting to you. It's how you talk about the subjects. And I don't know, there's something about the poetic style of ChatGPT which just is evocative and meaningful to me, and I'm not sure why I appreciate it as much as I do. But I love to see that kind of art be present in the world, and that it is so available to me. it's almost like I have my own artist that I've that I have available to me to sort of provide me with content that I appreciate and enjoy. So it's really quite phenomenal. And I'm really looking forward to the time when these artificial intelligence agents are multimodal. You know, they can. I'm gonna love when ChatGPT creates a song for me to enjoy about whatever topic I'm interested in. Green beans, for example. I can imagine ChatGPT writing a song about green beans. I mean, it can certainly write the lyrics, but I'd also like it to come up with a melody as well and play a song about green beans. Wow, that would be a real treat. And the thing is, that is just around the corner. I know people are working around the clock on artificial intelligence that is able to work with music in ways that just blow our minds. And in a way, we've almost gotten there. We've almost gotten there. We're just, and here's the thing: ChatGPT was only released last November, just a year from now, and we already have different modes like vision and certainly text, and we just got voice conversations from OpenAI recently, just in the last few weeks, and so how wonderful is it going to be to see this artistic expression from this artificially intelligent software that just brings us huge amounts of pleasure. And I'm really excited about the art that the artificial intelligence will be creating and the meaning that we'll be able to steer it toward, and the how emotionally evocative these intelligent software transformers will be for us. I mean, it's just going to be great. I'm already celebrating the fact that it's just around the corner, and so it's really just a wonderful revolution. It's basically it's a scientific and artistic revolution that is happening right now. And I'm so happy to be living in this particular time that it's so evident that that's happening. And I mean, really, all we have to do is hang on for a short while. And I mean, there's just so many wonderful things that are about to happen here as we turn the corner into the new year, as 2023 comes to a close. 2024 is just going to be blockbuster amazing. Already 2023 was amazing. Yeah, in a way, what we lost in 2020 because of COVID-19, we're gaining in 2023 because of artificial intelligence. Absolutely. The COVID-19 will basically be a bump in the road, so to speak. While these artificially intelligent agents essentially overtake discoveries like gravity and the discovery of fire and even the discovery of the wheel, and just help us through leaps and bounds make advances in our civilization on this planet, just in a few short years. So it really is the most amazing thing that I've ever witnessed. I mean, I've witnessed a lot of revolutions. I witnessed the computer revolution. I witnessed the information revolution. And I've witnessed part of the Industrial Revolution. But this artificial intelligence revolution that's happening right now is just absolutely spellbinding, and it's the most important thing that's ever happened on the planet, if you ask me. Now, I understand that's probably an exaggeration, but beyond the existence of consciousness itself and the existence of life itself. I mean, this definitely rates up there with one of the most important things ever to have happened. So anyway, let's get on to the purpose of our being here today, and that is to talk about art. And I have a quote. It's lined up right here, and the quote is from Mr. Ansel Adams, the acclaimed photographer. And his statement is, "You don't take a photograph, you make it." Wow, that is a profound statement from Mr. Adams. In a very short sentence, he really did kind of help us with an important distinction. You know, you don't take a photograph. In fact, isn't it interesting, that word "take"? You know, I wonder how appropriate the word "take a photograph" is. I mean, do we really take a photograph? We take it. I mean, at the most base level, we are taking photographs, but we could be generating a photograph. We could be creating a photograph. And certainly we could be making a photograph. But I want to get, first of all, at the intention behind this quotation. When Ansel Adams says you make a photograph, based on what I know about Ansel Adams and the photographs that I've seen, that's definitely his philosophy. A lot of his photographs, many of them that I've seen, are in black and white. That's part of him making the photograph. And I'm also aware that he is very patient in his photography, and he sets up the subjects of his photography, you know, the natural environment, in a very special and subtle way. I also am quite aware that he's very a stickler as it relates to things like technology, I imagine. I'm guessing he uses like wide format cameras and things like that. From his photographs, location, I'm sure, is quite important. He probably spends weeks and months, maybe even years, contemplating where to make a photograph and probably how to make it, what time of day, right? I have a feeling that there's a lot of things that are going on in his mind when he's sort of coming up with ideas for photographs that he wants to take. And he's definitely not one of those folks that just willy-nilly, as he's walking down the street somewhere, pull a camera out of his pocket, any random camera, and then just snap and walk away. Yeah, I have a feeling he is absolutely involved in pretty much every aspect of the photography, from site selection to how to compose the image, and how to how to enhance its sharpness, if that's the goal, and I'm sure he's thinking about the meaning that his audience will derive from the photograph. I mean, I have a feeling he is absolutely all about planning and thinking about this photograph to the nth degree, and he's proven that he can do it. That even if it's just a photograph of nature that a lot of people have probably taken similarly in the past, he definitely masters. He's a master of the presentation, a master of the composition, and he pulls together just amazing photographs. And I'm an admirer of Mr. Ansel Adams, and I don't know artist might not be, because I have a feeling that he is very dedicated to his work. The fact is, I don't know much about Ansel Adams, but there are a few things I can take away. There are takeaways from observing his photographs. And, it's clear he puts a lot of time and energy into thinking about them. And so, I admire his dedication and his hard work and his focus on the art of photography, for elevating photography to the point where, he does elevate photography through his work. So, now, but he's saying more. I also want to get in, like I mentioned, the intention of what he's saying. He says you don't take a photograph, you make it. He's drawing an interesting distinction here. And, he's, what does it mean to make a photograph? I've already discussed it, a little bit of it. But, Ansel Adams would probably recognize how important thoughtfulness is and intelligence is when it comes to the art of photography. There are probably a number of virtues that play into his creation of his photographs. And to say a phrase, like in common parlance, to take a photograph, saying that just flies off the tongue, certainly. But I can imagine from Ansel Adams' perspective, taking a photograph, that phrase probably doesn't give enough gravitas to what it is that Ansel Adams is actually doing behind the camera. So, yeah, in a way, it's kind of flippant. It's sort of a flippant statement. You take a photograph here, take a photograph there. Did you take the photo? Yeah, I did. And, it's like, I think for most, the conception is, you just line up the photo and you press the button and the shutter goes off and you record the photograph, and that's it. In fact, people take hundreds of photographs a day. There might even be, I'm sure there are people who've taken 1,000 photographs in a day. And so, because taking a photograph is so easy these days. It really is quite easy. And it's a wonderful benefit that we all have because of modernity and technology. We have our smartphones in our pockets and we can just take photographs left and right. And it really is an amazing technology that we all get to enjoy. We get to express ourselves through the art of photograph making and taking. And, it's very enriching for us. And I'm really glad that photography exists. It's one of my favorite modes of art. And I'm just so grateful to have it around. And I'm glad that Ansel Adams has elevated that art to the place where it is. Certainly. And you know what? I've seen it myself. I've seen photographs taken by just regular folks and then photographs taken by professional photographers. And there is a real difference. It's not subtle. It's not a subtle thing at all. It's really quite, it's kind of funny. I can't necessarily always put my finger on what it is about the photograph that's different, but it is definitely better. And I almost can't also figure out, necessarily what it is about what the photographer did. Sometimes the differences are quite subtle, but the overall aesthetic effect that the audience notices from this additional work is very apparent. And it's very apparent a lot of the time. Certainly not all of the time. Sometimes it's just not clear how much time and effort a photographer put, because it doesn't necessarily translate all the time. And in a way, that's kind of good, because anyone can take a photograph. And even if you're not that skilled, you can take a pretty good photograph. And a lot of people do all the time. And that's part of what makes photography so wonderful, is that it's kind of a level playing field. And I also love how, in general, it doesn't seem to sort of destroy the environment that much. It's, certainly the silicon and all the components and the development and all the energy that goes into creating the software for the smartphone and all the cameras that are out there. That certainly creates some problems. But I mean, once you've got to the point of having a photograph, you can take lots and lots of photographs and then keep those photographs on some kind of magnetic media or some kind of storage device. And yeah, it's a really wonderful avenue for expression. It's pretty energy efficient and is available to all, and it's really great. I mean, there are 13-year-olds who have smartphones who are taking amazing photographs and amazing videos, and it just gives people just this amazing avenue for self-expression. I'm really so glad that photography exists, and thank you very much, Mr. Edison, Thomas Alva Edison, for inventing the photograph. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think that Edison invented the photograph. He probably invented things like the television set and other things, or at least early versions of them. I have a belief that photography predates Edison, so I think I could be wrong about any relationship between Edison and photography. But so that may have been an error on my part, and I fully admit it. But yeah, isn't it wonderful how we all can sort of make a contribution to our own personal expression through photography? So again, let's get back to, you don't take a photograph, you make it. Clearly Ansel really wants to convey this to the world, and he does it pretty well through photography, and he's doing it now. I don't know if he wrote a book or a short story, or I don't know. It could have been a verbal statement that he made about taking and making photographs. But yeah, thank you, Mr. Ansel Adams. I appreciate all that you've done for photography. There are some amazing photographers out there, and I hear about their stories sometimes on YouTube and Instagram, and there are a lot of people who go through a lot to take like the perfect photograph. In fact, there's even a meme or a common phrase about it, and that is, you do it for the gram. That's a reference to Instagram, and that's a reference to people taking risks to get great photographs of themselves or of others. And it's a statement when you say do it for the gram. You're sort of, that's not the most responsible. No one is advocating responsibility when they say something like do it for the gram. They may be making a joke about it, but the joke comes paired with sadness. And the sadness is that there are people who die trying to take really good photographs. They're falling off cliffs in national parks. They're by accident, of course. And there are a lot of people who get themselves into trouble, get other people into trouble just to take the photograph. And there are a lot of injuries that happen. I'm sure it happens every single day. I'm sure that people get lost, people get burned, people get injured, people die. I have a feeling, I'm sure people die every day from just taking unwise photographs. Yeah. That's an interesting phenomenon itself. I'm sad about it. To me, it makes me very sad that people risk their lives to take photographs and may lose money or resources or time. I'm sure a lot of time is spent trying to take the perfect photograph. And whether they come out or not is, I'm not necessarily focusing on that, but there are losses from photography that people take, um, and it's sad. I am quite sad for people because they're hopeful, right? People are quite often quite hopeful about a certain picture, hopefully hoping it'll come out, and then when it doesn't, that can be quite a letdown for quite a lot of people because people put a lot of time, energy, and resources into creating amazing photographs. And people can learn how to throw a great photograph together using Photoshop or any of the Adobe products. And yeah, it's really quite a wonderful thing. But it's sad. It's sad about the losses that people take sometimes. I'm sure they lose their lives or they lose the lives of their loved ones unintentionally. And it does make me sad about it. And these are people who are not necessarily taking photographs, they are making a photograph. They gotta sink their resources into making the photograph. It worked out for Ansel Adams. And I'm sure, here's the thing, I'm sure Ansel Adams had a lot of losses too. I mean, can you imagine how many photographs of like Yosemite National Park that just made it to the cutting room floor? They just, from an editor's standpoint, Ansel did not choose it. I mean, there might be thousands of photographs that Ansel Adams has rejected. And then all that work that Ansel put into making the photograph goes to waste. Not necessarily, of course, because, we're always learning. As photographers, we're always learning. And it's important for us to, troubleshoot through a process of trial and error so that we can make the best photographs that we can make over time. We're all learning this whole process of making photographs. And, even Ansel Adams had to probably spend years and years and years to perfect his craft. And I'm sure I have a feeling that Ansel Adams is not alive. Hey, Google, is Ansel Adams alive?
Ansel Adams died in the community hospital of the Monterey Peninsula on April 22nd, 1984.
Wow, so yeah, Ansel Adams has been dead since 1984. That is a long time. I actually didn't realize that. I thought that he might have just died fairly recently, like 10, 20 years ago. I didn't realize it was 84. Wow, that was kind of a long time ago. Oh, so hopefully he did not die attempting to take a photograph in an unwise way. It was just a little bit too risky. Hopefully Mr. Adams did not die that way. I have a feeling he didn't quite die that way. What a tragedy. I wouldn't be too surprised because if you've got a lot riding on whether your photographs are going to get published or not, like I'm sure Ansel Adams, at least at one point in time, had, you probably end up putting a lot of time and energy into your photographs. Anyway, I can't say because I just don't know. But it's true that a lot of people take a lot of losses. And you know what? They also learn a lot of lessons. There's something about photography which can create like life lessons. And it can tell you a lot about yourself. For example, I know people who take photographs of like landscapes. Their lives are all about the photography of the landscape. And there are quite a lot of people who do that. I mean, Ansel Adams is a great example of that. But I know other people who really love taking pictures of nature. And that's very commendable, very laudable, and I appreciate that. There's so many wonderful pictures of nature out there. The National Geographic photographers, Ansel Adams, and others are just put together these timeless examples of art for all of us to enjoy. And so grateful to all of those photographers. And there are other kinds of photographers as well. I'm a photographer that mostly takes pictures of people. For me, I'm all about the people. That I want to know who's in the photograph and what they're doing. I want to, because for me, that's where the evocative nature of the photograph comes from. My connection to the people on the planet, and even some animals as well. I can appreciate the human interaction between animals and humans, and so I like to see animals in photography and photographs as well. But mostly, I want to see people in photographs. And if you look at all the photographs I've ever taken, I'm guessing that 90% of those photographs have people in them. I'm not taking pictures of places or things that aren't alive. Why is that? I don't know. I don't really know why I've got that preference. It's a strong preference. I mean, like 90% of my photographs are photographs of people or animals or things that are alive. And I also don't take pictures of plants. I don't take pictures of plants. I'm sure I have a few pictures of plants out there, and they are great and all, but the percentage of plant pictures to humans, or nature pictures in general to humans, that ratio, well, it really skews toward more people. And I'm just more interested in people, a lot more interested in people. Anyway, I'm getting kind of buzzed here and all this stuff. Anyway, I just want to say that, yeah, life is doing well. Well, life is well for me. Life is going well for me. And I wanted to mention again, I like that for me, I'm the kind of photographer who takes pictures of people. I'm very much interested in portraits. And a lot of that has to do with how evocative other people are to me, and faces. And when people do things, I'm very interested in that. And whatever it is they're doing, because I can relate, right? In an empathic way, right? To what they're doing. And I'm moved, right? A lot more than I moved by, a sunset or a sunrise or a beautiful mountain range. I love to see that stuff. But for me, the emotional content is just not there, not as much. Unless it's like some just amazing photograph, like the Hubble Space Telescope, for example. There are some just amazing images out there that are evocative. There's like the blue marble photograph, right, that NASA took of the moon, of the Earth, from the moon maybe, or actually I think it was just from something that was orbiting the Earth, or on its way to the moon, And that is a very evocative picture. For me, it's about the emotional content, right? And that's another reason why I like movies as much as I do, and I like video as much as I do, because of the emotional and the evocative nature of those media. Well, the same is true with music. But for photography, it's mostly people, like I say. That's an interesting fact to know about my personality, that I have certain artistic preferences. I have certain ways that I express myself in an artistic way through photography. And they're very constant, And it's like having a certain preference for a certain genre of music, or a certain type of painting, or a certain type of movie. A lot of people like horror movies or science fiction. I can totally understand that. Some people just like documentaries. I used to have a period in my life when I was watching lots of documentaries. I really don't do that very much anymore. It's not because I dislike documentaries, because I really do like them, especially well done ones. I love learning. That's really important to me. And any kind of film or video that's emotionally evocative and involves learning, I'm all about that. Now, I also don't watch a lot of documentaries, not anymore. Why is that? I don't know. I think part of it might have to do with subject matter. Maybe some documentaries I'm seeing that are available to me now just don't have the subject matter that interests me. Maybe some of it has to do with my attention span is just not quite like it. They're not like it quite used to be. that I'd much rather be doing other things like going to the gym or going grocery shopping or doing chores around the house or going to do laundry. Who knows? I really don't know why. I'm not as focused on documentaries like I have been in the past. And when I say I was focused on documentaries, this was a long time ago. This is like 20 years ago that I was really taking in a lot of documentaries. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. There's like anything, there's like this to and fro, wax and wane of certain interests. And when it comes to video or photography, I have my own interests that wax and wane. So, I might as well start talking about another quote really quickly. Here's a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche. The essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. Oh my gosh. Mr. Friedrich Nietzsche. Thank you very much for that wonderful quote. And that is a very stimulating idea for me because recently I have been focused on gratitude as a way to improve happiness in life and a way to add meaning. And let me just say that quote one more time from Frederick. He says, the essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. And you know what? I think he's right. No. Yes, I think he's right. What an interesting point. It is actually quite interesting. The connection between art and gratitude is powerful. And, the aesthetic, beauty, right? Yes. He says the essence of all beautiful art, all great art, is gratitude. Wow. Wow. I can really see how that's the case. I was talking about photography just now. And for me, some of the most beautiful photography is photography that revolves around people. I'm just grateful for people. I really do have a kind of a community mind. But I also, in my statements earlier, I mentioned about photographs of nature. And there are beautiful photographs of nature. I talked about the blue marble photograph of the Earth, and also photographs of the Hubble Space Telescope. And you know what? Those photographs, the notable ones, the beautiful ones, their essence is gratitude. They quite often launch us into like a new perspective. And it's beyond the perspective too. It's like a gratitude for being on our blue planet. Gratitude for a universe that is so large and diverse. It's very interesting. I'm going to have to think more about this, the connection between beautiful art and gratitude. And, art is often created to honor. I mean, I think of like poets who have their muse, or any kind of artist who has their muse. It's as if that gratitude is sort of is really that a muse, well, any subject of art, and why make anything a subject of art unless you're grateful for it in some way, even if it's something that's not so nice looking. Maybe it's ugly, right? Maybe it's not beautiful, the opposite of beauty. But you could definitely make that a subject of your art. And I can imagine that it sometimes it's not always the object that's in the image of the art that is the one that you're grateful for, but maybe there might be like a contrasting something outside of the image that there is grateful for. You're grateful for the opposite of whatever the subject of the art is. Anyway, that's gonna give me something very interesting to think about, and I wonder how sort of gratitude sort of folds into my conception of art. Now Nietzsche's got me thinking. Nietzsche, thank you very much, Nietzsche, for the wonderful quotation about art. I think I'm gonna take that and run a little bit, and I'll be back tomorrow. And we'll talk a little bit more about maybe we'll talk a little bit more about gratitude and art. Talk to you later. Bye bye.